The phone call came at 4:15 on a Tuesday afternoon. "You're retired now, so you have all the time in the world," my daughter-in-law said, without even a hello. "I'm dropping the kids off tomorrow morning. 7 sharp. Don't feed them junk food like last time." I stood there in my living room, surrounded by travel brochures for places I'd dreamed of visiting my whole life, and felt something inside me snap. Not break, snap, like a rubber band pulled too tight for too long. "Actually, Jennifer," I said, my voice steadier than I felt, "I have plans." She laughed, that sharp, dismissive laugh I'd come to know so well over the past 12 years. "Plans? Please, Barbara. What plans could a retired woman possibly have? I need you to watch Chloe, Mason, and Emma while I'm in Miami. It's a business opportunity that could change our lives. 2 weeks. You'll barely notice." I noticed everything. That was the problem. First, let me thank you for watching Letters to Helen. Please subscribe and tell us in the comments where you're watching from. My name is Barbara Ann Fletcher. For 37 years, I taught 4th grade at Lincoln Elementary in Cedar Falls, Iowa. I've seen thousands of children pass through my classroom. I've dealt with difficult parents, impossible situations, and budget cuts that would make you weep. But nothing, absolutely nothing, prepared me for Jennifer. That afternoon, I was 2 days into my retirement. 2 days into what should have been the beginning of my golden years. Do you know what it's like to work from the age of 22 until you're 68, always putting everyone else first, and finally having time for yourself? My coffee table was covered with glossy magazines about Sedona, Charleston, and the Grand Canyon. Places I'd always wanted to see, but couldn't. Because first I was raising my son Michael alone after his father walked out when he was 3, and then I was working double shifts to put that same son through college. "Jennifer," I said carefully, "I can't just drop everything. Can't or won't." Her voice turned cold. "Because last time I checked, Michael and I support this family. You're living on a teacher's pension. We actually contribute to society." My pension. $1,800 a month after 37 years of shaping young minds. Jennifer spent more than that on her nails and hair appointments. "The children haven't visited me in 8 months, I said quietly. 8 months, Jennifer. And that was only for 2 hours on Christmas because you said you had to get to your important family's house. Oh, here we go. The guilt trip. Look, Barbara, I don't have time for this. The kids will be there tomorrow at 7. Make sure the house is clean. You know how Chloe's allergies act up around dust. My house. My pristine, beloved home that I'd spent 4 decades maintaining while working full-time and raising a child alone. And Barbara?" Jennifer's voice dropped to what she probably thought was a confidential tone. "Don't fill their heads with your stories about the good old days. They need to focus on the future, not live in the past like you do." That's when something extraordinary happened. Instead of swallowing my words like I'd done for 12 years, I smiled, actually smiled. "You know what, Jennifer? Bring them over. 7 o'clock tomorrow. I'll be ready." Finally. See? That wasn't so hard. And don't let them watch too much TV. Mason needs to practice his violin. Chloe has summer reading, and Emma, well, try to keep Emma from breaking anything. She's clumsy like Michael was. Michael wasn't clumsy. He was a child who'd lost his father and was trying too hard to be perfect. She hung up without saying goodbye. She never did. I stood there for a long moment, looking at my retirement certificate framed on the wall. "Barbara Ann Fletcher," it read, "in recognition of 37 years of dedicated service to the children of Cedar Falls." Dedicated service. That's what they called it when you gave up everything for everyone else. But I wasn't the same woman Jennifer thought she was manipulating. 37 years of teaching had taught me more than reading, writing, and arithmetic. I'd learned child psychology. I'd studied family dynamics. I'd seen dozens of cases of parental alienation, narcissistic manipulation, and emotional abuse disguised as what's best for the children. I'd also learned patience and strategy. I picked up my phone and called my friend Margaret. Yes, the same Margaret from our shout-out, though she'd moved to Tennessee 5 years ago. We'd taught together for 20 years before she retired early. "Margaret, I need your help. Remember when you told me about documenting everything during your custody battle with your ex? Oh Lord, Barbara, what's happened? I'm about to teach the most important lesson of my career. And this time, the student is my daughter-in-law. That evening, I didn't sleep. How could I? Instead, I lay in bed thinking about how we'd gotten here. Michael had been 3 when his father, David, Left. No warning. Just a note on the kitchen counter saying he couldn't do this anymore. This, as if our son and I were a burden too heavy to bear. I'd found that note 37 years ago on a Wednesday morning. Michael was watching cartoons in the living room, completely unaware that his world was about to shatter. I never let him see me cry. Not once. Instead, I worked. I taught all day, tutored in the evenings, and took on summer school sessions. We ate dinner together every night at 6:30. I helped with homework. I attended every school play, every baseball game, every parent-teacher conference, even though I was the teacher in the building next door. Michael grew up knowing he was loved. He grew up with values, with respect, with the understanding that family meant showing up, or so I thought. He met Jennifer in his junior year at Iowa State University. She was beautiful, I'll give her that. Glossy dark hair, perfect smile, designer clothes that seemed out of place in a college town. She came from money, old money, as she liked to remind everyone. "Mrs. Fletcher," she'd said the first time Michael brought her home, "your little house is so quaint, like something from a storybook. Quaint. My home that I'd worked 3 jobs to buy." But she was sweet to Michael, and he was so in love. Who was I to interfere? They married the summer after graduation. I'd saved $7,000 for Michael's wedding. Jennifer's family spent $45,000. At the reception, her mother made sure everyone knew the difference. "Well," she'd announced loudly, "we certainly did our part to make this wedding memorable. Some families contribute what they can. Bless their hearts. Bless their hearts." That southern passive-aggressive phrase that means, how pathetic. Michael and Jennifer moved into a house her parents bought them. I wasn't consulted about neighborhoods or schools or anything else. I learned about my grandson's birth from a text message. Chloe Elizabeth born 7:14 a.m., 7 pounds, 6 ounces. I'd driven to the hospital with flowers, balloons, and a handmade quilt I'd spent months creating. Jennifer looked at the quilt and smiled politely. "Oh, how sweet. We've already registered for everything we need at Pottery Barn, but I'm sure we can find somewhere to use this." That quilt, made with every stitch of love I had, ended up in their garage sale 3 years later. I saw it priced at $5. The next morning, I was up at 5. Not because I was nervous. I'd faced rowdy classrooms of 30 children for decades, but because I had work to do. Margaret had overnighted a package to me. Inside were 3 small recording devices, no bigger than a button, and a camera disguised as a smoke detector. Also included was a thick folder of legal documents about grandparents' rights in Iowa. "Document everything," she'd written in a note. "Every word, every action, every moment. The truth always wins, but only if you can prove it." I installed the camera in the living room, positioned to capture the entire space. The recording devices went under the dining table, in the kitchen, and in the main hallway. Then I called my lawyer. Yes, I had a lawyer. I'd consulted him 3 months earlier when Jennifer had tried to use my house as collateral for a loan without my knowledge. She'd needed my signature, which is how I found out. When I refused, she'd stopped speaking to me for 6 weeks. Michael never called to ask why. "Barbara," my lawyer, Thomas Brennan, had said then, "you need to protect yourself. This woman sees you as a resource, not a person." Now I needed his expertise again. At exactly 7 o'clock, Jennifer's white Mercedes SUV pulled into my driveway. She didn't get out, just honked twice, like I was the help. I opened the door to find 3 children on my porch, surrounded by suitcases that were bigger than they were. Chloe was 13, Mason was 11, and Emma was 8. They looked at me like I was a stranger, because I was. "Grandmother," Chloe said formally, not Grandma or Nana. "Mother said we're staying here for 2 weeks. Jennifer rolled down her window. "Chloe has allergies. The medication is in the blue bag. Mason needs to practice violin 1 hour daily. Emma needs structure or she acts out. There's a schedule in each of their suitcases. Follow it. Jennifer, don't you want to come in? Say a proper goodbye to the children. I'm running late. My flight leaves at 10:30. Oh, and Barbara? Don't let them have screen time before 3 p.m. It rots their brains." She looked at Mason. "Your father will call tonight. Probably, if he's not working late again." Then she drove away. No hugs, no kisses. No, "I'll miss you." Just the sound of her engine fading down Maple Street. The 4 of us stood there in uncomfortable silence. "Well," I said, "let's get you settled." Mason dragged his suitcase over the threshold and winced. "It's smaller than I remembered. Less square footage than our pool house," Chloe added, not unkindly, just stating what she believed was a fact. Emma said nothing. She just clutched a stuffed rabbit that had seen better days and stared at the floor. I'd prepared the guest room with 3 beds, fresh linens, and small welcome baskets on each pillow, homemade cookies, a book, and a handwritten note saying, "I'm so happy you're here." Chloe read hers and set it aside. "Mother doesn't allow processed sugar before noon." "Good thing it's 7:15, I said. "Cookies are fair game." Mason opened his violin case immediately. "I need to practice. Mother gets the reports from my teacher. If I miss even one day, she'll know." "Reports?" I asked. "She has an app that tracks my practice time. It's connected to my electric violin. 13 years old and already living under surveillance." Emma finally spoke, her voice barely a whisper. "Where's the TV?" "In the living room, sweetie. Mother says your TV is old, from the dark ages." She looked worried, like she'd said something wrong. "Well, it still works. And there's no app tracking what you watch here." That got their attention. "Over the next few hours," I observed. "That's what good teachers do. We observe before we act." Chloe spent the morning texting someone, her face a mask of concentration. When I asked who she was talking to, she said, "Mother. She wants updates every 2 hours." Mason practiced his violin with mechanical precision. Not a single note was played with joy. He was performing a checklist, not making music. Emma sat on the couch staring at the TV, but she wasn't really watching. Her eyes were distant, sad. The stuffed rabbit never left her hands. At noon, I made lunch. Grilled cheese sandwiches, tomato soup, and apple slices. Comfort food. The kind I used to make for Michael when he came home from school. "This is all dairy and gluten," Chloe informed me. "We don't eat that at home." "What do you eat?" "Mother makes us protein smoothies and quinoa bowls. She says carbs make you fat and lazy." I looked at these 3 thin children, not an ounce of fat on any of them, and felt a familiar anger rising. But I kept my voice calm. "Well, here's the thing. I'm an old-fashioned grandmother. In my house, we eat real food. If you don't want it, that's fine. But this is what's being served." Mason ate first. Wolfed down the sandwich like he was starving. Then Chloe, pretending she wasn't interested but finishing every bite. Emma ate slowly, carefully, like she was afraid it would be taken away. "This is really good," Mason admitted. "We never have food like this." "Why not?" "Mother says it's common. Poor people food. Poor people food. My comfort. My heritage. My love made edible." That afternoon, I made a discovery that changed everything. I'd asked the children to clean up after lunch. A reasonable request. Put your dishes in the sink, wipe down the table. Basic life skills. Chloe looked at me like I'd asked her to perform surgery. "We don't do that at home. We have Marguerite." "Who's Marguerite?" "Our housekeeper. She does everything." "Well, Marguerite isn't here, so we all pitch in." That's when the first meltdown happened. "You can't make me!" Chloe threw her phone on the table. "I'm calling Mother right now. This is child abuse." "Washing a dish is child abuse? Forcing us to do manual labor is. We have rights," Mason chimed in. "Father says you were always bitter because you never made anything of yourself. That's why you're mean." Emma started crying. "I want to go home. I want Marguerite. I want Mother." They were testing me. I'd seen this behavior 1,000 times in my classroom. Children acting out because they're scared, confused, or repeating what they've heard adults say. I pulled out my phone and started recording. "Let me be very clear," I said calmly. "Your mother left you here. She didn't give you a choice. She didn't ask if you wanted to come. She dropped you off like luggage because it was convenient for her. Now you can spend the next 2 weeks fighting me, or you can try something different." "Like what?" Chloe's eyes were wet, though she was trying hard not to cry. "Like being children. Real children. Not little adults performing for an audience." "We are real children," Mason said, but his voice cracked. "Are you? When's the last time any of you played? Actually played? Not scheduled activities or supervised sports or violin practice that gets monitored? When did you last just play?" Silence. That's what I thought. "So here's the deal. While you're here, we're going to try something radical. We're going to be a family. That means everyone contributes. Everyone eats real food, and everyone gets to be a kid. And if we don't want to," Chloe challenged, "then you're going to be very bored for 2 weeks. Because I'm not your maid, I'm not your servant, and I'm definitely not the pathetic old woman your mother thinks I am." Emma stopped crying. She was looking at me differently now, like she was seeing me for the first time. Mother calls you pathetic? I shouldn't have said it, but I was so tired of lying. Your mother says a lot of things about me. Most of them aren't true, but that's something you'll have to figure out for yourselves. That night, after a dinner of pot roast, more poor people food, according to Chloe, though she had seconds, I overheard them talking in their room. She's different than Mother said, Emma whispered. Mother said she was desperate to see us, that she'd do anything we wanted, Mason replied. She doesn't act desperate, Chloe observed. She acts, I don't know, strong? I stood in the hallway, my hand on the wall, recording device in my pocket capturing every word. These children had been poisoned against me for years. Jennifer had built a wall between us, brick by brick, lie by lie. But walls can be dismantled. It just takes time, and patience, and evidence. The next morning would bring the first real breakthrough, but it would also reveal something about Jennifer that would make my blood run cold. The breakthrough came on day 3, and it started with Emma's stuffed rabbit. I found her crying in the bathroom at 2 a.m. Not the dramatic crying of a tantrum, but the quiet, hopeless crying of a child who's learned that no one comes when you call. Emma, sweetheart, what's wrong? She held up the rabbit. The ear was torn, stuffing coming out. Mason pulled it. He said I'm too old for stuffed animals. He said Mother would throw it away if she knew I still slept with it. I sat down on the bathroom floor next to her. My knees protested. 68-year-old knees don't love tile floors at 2 a.m. But I didn't care. How old is Mr. Rabbit? He's not Mr. Rabbit. He's Henry. She looked surprised that I'd asked. I got him when I was 3. Father gave him to me before Mother said Father was too busy to tuck us in anymore. Henry is a wonderful name. And you know what? I have a sewing kit. We can fix him. Her eyes went wide. Really? Really? Come on. We went to the kitchen, and I pulled out my old sewing basket, the same one my mother had given me 40 years ago. Emma watched as I carefully stitched Henry's ear, replacing the stuffing, making him whole again. My mother never fixes things, Emma said softly. She just buys new ones. Sometimes the old things are the best things. They have history. They have love sewn into them. When I handed Henry back, properly repaired, Emma did something that broke my heart and filled it at the same time. She hugged me, really hugged me. Her thin arms wrapped around my neck, and she whispered, "Thank you, Grandma." Not grandmother, Grandma. I held her until she fell asleep on my shoulder, then carried her back to bed. Mason and Chloe were both awake, pretending not to be, watching. The next morning, Mason asked if I could fix his violin's shoulder rest that had been broken for 3 months. Mother says I need to learn to be careful with my things, that I broke it, so I have to deal with it. I fixed it with epoxy and a small clamp. 20 minutes of work. Why would your mother make you play with broken equipment? He shrugged. She says discomfort builds character. That afternoon, Chloe's phone rang. She answered immediately, stepping onto the porch. But I could hear everything through the open window. Yes, Mother. Yes, we're fine. Grandmother is... She's okay. A pause. No, she hasn't said anything bad about you. Another pause. Longer. Mother, why don't you ever call to talk to me? You only call to check if grandmother is following the rules. I couldn't hear Jennifer's response, but I saw Chloe's face crumble. No, I wasn't criticizing you. I miss you. Her voice got smaller. Okay, yes, I'll text you tonight. Love you too. But Jennifer had already hung up. Chloe came back inside, eyes red, pretending everything was fine. Mother says you're doing an adequate job. High praise, I said dryly. She also said, Chloe hesitated. She said you probably told us lies about her, that you've always been jealous of her success. What do you think? I think? Chloe looked at her siblings, then back at me. I think I don't know what to think anymore. That night, I made my famous chocolate chip cookies, the recipe I'd used in every school bake sale for 37 years. The smell filled the house, warm and sweet and safe. Mason came into the kitchen first, drawn by the scent. These smell like how I remember Father's childhood stories smelling. Your father loved these cookies. Every day after school, he'd have 3 with a glass of milk. Father doesn't eat cookies anymore. Mother says they're empty calories. We sat at the kitchen table, the 4 of us, eating warm cookies. For the first time, they looked relaxed, real. Grandma, Emma asked, why doesn't Mother like you? How do you answer that to an 8-year-old? Sometimes people get so focused on what they think they deserve that they forget to appreciate what they have. Your mother wanted a certain kind of life, and I think she sees me as a reminder of something simpler. Is simple bad? Mason asked. Not at all. Some of the best things in life are simple. That's when I decided to show them something I'd kept hidden for 12 years. I went to my bedroom and pulled out a box from the back of my closet. Inside were birthday cards the children had made for me when they were little, before Jennifer started controlling every aspect of their lives. Cards I'd found in Jennifer's garage sale, priced at 25 cents each. You made these for me, I said, spreading them on the table. Every single one. And your mother threw them away. Chloe picked up a card she'd made when she was 5. Construction paper, glitter, crayon drawings. I made this? You did. You wrote, I love you, Grandma. You're the bestest. Bestest isn't a word, but it was perfect. Mason found his cards. Years of them. Mother told us you didn't want them, that you said they were clutter. I saved every single one. I went to that garage sale and bought them all back. 50 cards for $12.50. Emma's hands shook as she looked through her own creations. Why would Mother say you didn't want them? Because she wanted you to think I didn't care about you. It made it easier to keep us apart. Chloe couldn't finish. She was crying now, really crying. That's so mean. The next discovery came from Mason, and it was pure accident. He'd been using my laptop to watch a violin tutorial on YouTube. Yes, I'd granted limited screen time. I'm not a monster. He accidentally clicked on my email instead, and there, in my drafts folder, was something I'd forgotten about. Grandma, why do you have emails to us that were never sent? My heart stopped. I'd written to them. Every birthday, every Christmas, every first day of school for 5 years. Dozens of emails telling them I loved them, that I was thinking of them, that I was here if they ever needed me. Jennifer had blocked my email address from their accounts. I'd found out when every message bounced back, so I'd saved them as drafts, thinking that maybe someday, you wrote to us? Mason's voice cracked. All these years? Every important moment. I wanted you to know you were loved. Chloe grabbed the laptop, scrolling through years of messages. Her face went from confusion to shock to rage. Mother said you never tried to contact us. She said you were too busy with your own life to care about your grandchildren. I tried everything. Emails, calls, texts, letters. Your mother blocked all of it. Why? Emma was crying again. Why would she do that? This was the moment where I could either protect Jennifer or tell the truth. I chose truth. Because your mother is a narcissist. She needs control. And the best way to control your father was to control his relationship with me. If you all thought I was a bad grandmother, your father wouldn't question why we never saw each other. Father knows about this? Mason looked sick. Your father is lost. He works 70 hours a week trying to make your mother happy. He doesn't see what's happening at home because he's never there. That night, after the children went to bed, I called Thomas Brennan. I need you to prepare documents, grandparents' rights petition. I want legal visitation established. Barbara, that's going to start a war with Jennifer. Good, I'm ready. On day 5, Michael called, not to talk to his children, to check on them like they were packages he'd shipped. Mom, Jennifer texted saying everything's fine. The kids aren't giving you too much trouble? Michael, when's the last time you actually talked to your children? Silence. Mom, I'm working. You know how it is. No, I don't know. Because I worked full-time and still managed to talk to you every single day. That was different. How? Jennifer handles the kids. That's how we decided to split things. She does family management, I do financial provision. Family management? Michael, they're children, not a corporation. Look, I don't have time for this. Is everything okay or not? Everything is not okay. But you'd know that if you were actually present in your children's lives. He hung up. My son hung up on me. Chloe had been standing in the hallway, listening to everything. Father doesn't want to talk to us? How do you explain to a 13-year-old that her father has checked out of parenting without destroying her? Your father loves you. But somewhere along the way, he forgot how to show it. He thinks providing money is the same as providing love. Is that why he never comes to my volleyball games? Mother says he's too busy being important. Your father isn't busy being important. He's busy being exhausted. There's a difference. That afternoon, I did something calculated. I called Michael's office and pretended to be a client with an urgent matter. His secretary put me through immediately. This is Michael Fletcher. Hi, honey, it's your mother. Don't hang up. Mom, I'm at work. Your daughter made the varsity volleyball team. Did you know that? She's 13 and she made varsity. When's her first game? I don't know. Jennifer handles. Your son's shoulder rest on his violin has been broken for 3 months. 3 months, Michael. He's been practicing with equipment that causes him pain because Jennifer told him it builds character. That doesn't sound. And your youngest daughter sleeps with a stuffed rabbit you gave her 5 years ago. She hides it because Jennifer says she's too old for toys. She's 8, Michael. 8 years old, and already learning to hide who she really is. I heard him breathing. Hard. I need you to come here this weekend. Not to pick them up. To see them. Really see them. Jennifer won't like that. I don't care what Jennifer likes. I care about your children. And if you have even a shred of the man I raised you to be, you'll care more about them than about keeping your wife happy. He came that Saturday. Unannounced. Unplanned. Just showed up at 10 in the morning looking like he hadn't slept. The children were in the backyard. I'd taught them to play an old game called Red Rover that I used to play with my students. They were running, laughing, covered in grass stains, being children. Michael stood at the kitchen window watching them. When did Emma get so big? You'd know if you saw her more than twice a month. It's not that simple, Mom. It's exactly that simple. You're here now. Go play with them. I don't know how. You used to know how. Before Jennifer convinced you that being a father meant being a checkbook. He went outside, awkward at first. But then Mason called out, "Father, come play." And something in Michael's face changed. For 2 hours, I watched my son remember how to be a dad. He ran with them, laughed with them, got grass stains on his expensive work pants. At one point, Emma jumped on his back and he carried her around the yard. And I saw Chloe take a picture with her phone. When they came inside, exhausted and happy, Mason asked the question that changed everything. "Father, why don't we do this at home?" Michael looked at his son, really looked at him, and I saw the moment he realized what he'd been missing. "I don't know, buddy. I honestly don't know." That night, after the kids went to bed, Michael and I had the conversation we should have had years ago. "She's poisoned them against you," he said. "I can see it now. The way they were when they first got here versus how they are now. They've been trained to dislike you." "Yes. Why didn't you tell me?" "I tried." "Michael, every time I raised a concern, Jennifer told you I was being dramatic, and you chose to believe her." His hands shook as he held his coffee cup. "I don't know when I became this person. This absent father who throws money at problems instead of actually solving them. You became that person when you married a woman who needs you to be weak so she can be strong. That's not fair." "Fair? Let me tell you what's not fair. I've been retired for 1 week. 1 week, Michael. And in that week, I've learned more about your children than you know after 13 years of being their father." I pulled out my phone and played him a recording. Emma crying about her rabbit, Mason talking about his broken violin, Chloe on the phone with Jennifer begging for attention that never came. "You're recording them?" "I'm documenting abuse. Emotional neglect is abuse, Michael. And your wife is an expert at it. She's not abusing anyone. She's just particular about things." "Particular?" "She tells your daughter that carbs will make her fat. Chloe is 13 and already counting calories. She makes your son practice an instrument with broken equipment to build character. She threw away every card your children made for me because it was clutter." "That's not particular, Michael. That's cruel." He stood up, pacing. "What do you want me to do?" "I want you to be a father. I want you to come home before 8 p.m. I want you to go to Chloe's volleyball games. I want you to fix Mason's violin yourself instead of telling Jennifer to handle it. I want you to tuck Emma in at night and tell her it's okay to sleep with Henry the rabbit. Jennifer will never allow—" "Stop!" I'd never yelled at my son in his adult life. But I yelled now. "Stop giving her the power. You're their father. Act like it." The silence that followed was deafening. Finally, Michael spoke. "When did you become so strong, Mom?" "I've always been strong. I just stopped hiding it to make other people comfortable." He left that night promising to think about everything. I didn't know if he would actually change, but I'd planted the seed. What I didn't know was that Jennifer had been tracking Michael's phone. She saw that he'd come to Cedar Falls. She saw that he'd stayed for hours, and she was furious. The call came at 6 a.m. on day 7. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" Jennifer's voice was pure venom. "Turning my husband against me? Poisoning my children's minds? I'm not doing anything except being their grandmother. You're a bitter old woman who can't stand to see me happy. You've always been jealous of what Michael and I have. What do you have, Jennifer? A husband who works himself to death to avoid coming home? 3 children who barely know their own parents? A marriage held together by money and image? How dare you? I dare because someone needs to. Those children have been here for 1 week, and they've laughed more than they have in the past year. They've played. They've been children. And you can't stand it because it proves that everything you've built is hollow. I'm coming to get them. Today. Right now. You said 2 weeks. We have 1 week left. I don't care what I said. Get my children ready. I'll be there by noon. She hung up. I stood in my kitchen, hands shaking, and knew that the real battle was about to begin. But I wasn't the same woman Jennifer had dropped those children off with. I had evidence. I had recordings. I had a lawyer. And most importantly, I had 3 grandchildren who were finally starting to see the truth. When Jennifer arrived at 11:45, early, because she always needed to win, even in small ways, she found something she didn't expect. Her children, sitting on my porch steps, unwilling to leave. "Get in the car," Jennifer commanded. "Now." None of them moved. I said now. Chloe stood up first, 13 years old and braver than most adults I knew. "No, Mother. We want to stay with Grandma." The look on Jennifer's face was one I'd been waiting 12 years to see. Pure, unfiltered shock. Jennifer's perfectly made-up face turned an ugly shade of red. "Chloe Elizabeth Fletcher, get in that car right now, or you will regret it for the rest of your life." "Like I regret the past 13 years? Chloe's voice didn't waver. "Constantly trying to be perfect enough for you to actually notice me? Don't you dare speak to me that way. I'm your mother." "Are you?" Mason stood up next, positioning himself next to his sister. "Because mothers don't throw away their children's artwork. Mothers don't block their grandmother's emails. Mothers don't lie about whether people love us or not." Jennifer's eyes darted to me. "What lies have you been filling their heads with?" "I haven't told them anything," I said calmly. "I showed them. The birthday cards you sold at your garage sale. The emails I wrote that you blocked. The documentation of every way you've isolated them from me for 12 years. You have no right. I have every right. I'm their grandmother. And unlike you, I actually care about their well-being more than my image." Jennifer's mask was cracking. I could see the calculation in her eyes, trying to figure out how to regain control. "Michael," she said, pulling out her phone. "Your mother has been brainwashing our children. Get here immediately." She put it on speaker. We all heard Michael's response. "I'm already aware of what's happening. Jennifer, I was there yesterday. I saw how happy they are. I saw how much they've missed having an actual family." You were there? You went behind my back?" "No, I went to see my children." "There's a difference." "I want a divorce," Jennifer blurted out. Just like that. No buildup, no emotion. Like she was ordering coffee. "That's probably for the best," Michael said quietly. "I'll have my lawyer contact you tomorrow." Jennifer's face went white. "You can't be serious. I was bluffing. Michael, I didn't mean—" "I know you didn't mean it, but I do. Mom's right. I've spent 13 years being your ATM instead of being their father. That ends now." She hung up and screamed. Actually screamed. Emma grabbed my hand, and I pulled her close. "You did this," Jennifer pointed at me with a shaking finger. "You destroyed my marriage." "No, Jennifer, you did that yourself. I just stopped being silent about it. Those are my children. Mine. I carried them. I birthed them. I raised them." "You controlled them," Chloe interrupted. "There's a difference, Mother. Grandma taught us that." Jennifer looked at her daughter like she was a stranger. "After everything I've done for you, the private schools, the music lessons, the opportunities, the eating disorders you gave me?" Chloe's voice shook but stayed strong. "The anxiety medication I take because I'm never good enough? The therapy I need because I learned to hate myself by watching you critique every single thing about your own body?" I hadn't known about the eating disorder or the medication. My hand tightened on Emma's. "You're in therapy?" Jennifer's voice was ice. "Who authorized that?" "Father did. 6 months ago when I collapsed at school because I hadn't eaten in 3 days. But you wouldn't know that because you were in Cabo with your book club." "Except there was no book club, was there, Mother? There was just you and your personal trainer, Marcus." The silence that followed was atomic. "How do you know about Marcus?" Jennifer whispered. "I'm 13. "Not stupid. You think I don't notice when you come home from book club with hickeys on your neck? Or when Marcus texts you at midnight with heart emojis?" Jennifer looked like she'd been slapped, but she recovered quickly, falling back on her only defense: attack. You've been spying on me, going through my phone? That's a violation of my privacy. Like you violate ours? Mason pulled out his own phone. You track everything we do, every text, every website, every app. You have spyware on all our devices. We can't even message our friends without you reading it first. That's called good parenting. That's called surveillance, I said. And it's abuse. Jennifer whirled on me. You don't know anything about modern parenting. You raised one child who barely speaks to you. What kind of mother does that make you? A mother who taught her son to be independent. Unfortunately, I also taught him to be loyal to a fault. He stayed with you because he thought that's what commitment meant. But commitment doesn't mean staying with someone who poisons your children against their own family. I never poisoned anyone. Really? I pulled out my phone and played a recording. Jennifer's voice, crystal clear, from a conversation she'd had with Chloe 3 months earlier. Your grandmother is a bitter old woman who wasted her life teaching other people's children because she couldn't keep her own husband. Don't end up like her, Chloe. Don't be pathetic and alone. Chloe's face crumpled. I forgot you said that. I'd blocked it out. Baby, I was just trying to motivate you. By tearing down the one person who actually loves us unconditionally? Mason's voice was pure contempt. Real motivational, mother. Jennifer tried a different tactic. Tears. Crocodile tears that had probably worked 100 times before. I'm sorry. You're right. I've made mistakes. But I did it because I love you. Everything I've done has been because I want you to have a better life than I had. You grew up rich, Chloe said flatly. Grandfather bought you a Mercedes for your 16th birthday. Not that kind of better. You meant you wanted us to be your accessories, Mason interrupted. Proof of how perfect your life is. We're not children to you. We're trophies. Emma, who'd been silent this whole time, finally spoke. Her small voice cut through everything like a knife. I don't want to go with you, Mommy. You scare me. Jennifer froze. I scare you? You're mean. You make everyone sad. Even you're sad. But you pretend you're not. Grandma doesn't pretend. Grandma is real. Out of the mouths of babes. 8 years old, and she diagnosed her mother perfectly. Jennifer looked at her 3 children, standing united against her, and something in her broke. Not in a redemptive way, in a dangerous way. Fine, she said coldly. Stay here with your precious grandmother, but don't come crying to me when you realize she's a broke old woman who can't give you anything. No private schools, no vacations, no future. We don't need those things, Chloe said. We just need to be loved. Love doesn't pay for college. No, I said, but I've been saving for their college since they were born. $500 a month for 13 years. Even when you cut me out of their lives, I kept saving, because that's what real love does. Jennifer's jaw dropped. How much? Enough. Mason has $78,000. Chloe has $78,000. Emma has $48,000, plus interest, all in educational trust funds they can't access until they're 18. So don't even think about trying to get your hands on it. That's over $200,000. $204,000, I corrected. Give or take. I'll have the exact figures from my financial advisor by tomorrow. Jennifer looked physically ill. She'd spent years telling everyone I was poor, worthless, a drain on society, and I'd been quietly building a future for her children. Why? She whispered. Why would you do that for children you barely see? Because they're my grandchildren. And unlike you, I don't need constant access to someone to love them. Jennifer's eyes hardened. She'd lost, and she knew it. But narcissists don't go down gracefully. You'll regret this. All of you. Michael thinks he wants a divorce now, but I'll take him for everything. The house, the cars, his retirement. And you 3? She looked at her children with pure venom. Enjoy your little fantasy here, but remember, I'm still your mother, and mothers have rights. So do grandmothers, I said. I've already filed for court-ordered visitation rights. My lawyer has documented every instance of you blocking my access to these children. Every email you blocked, every birthday party you excluded me from, every lie you told them about me. You can't prove. I have recordings, texts, emails. Your own daughter just exposed your affair. And I have 3 children willing to testify about the emotional abuse you've subjected them to. I stepped closer. But here's what I'm willing to offer. You agree to shared custody with Michael. You agree to regular, Unsupervised visitation for me. You get help. Real help therapy, not just for show. And I won't submit any of this evidence to the court. And if I refuse, then I unleash everything. The affair, the financial control, the eating disorder you gave your daughter, the medication your son needs for anxiety, the fact that your 8-year-old is afraid of her own mother. Take your pick, Jennifer. You can walk away with some dignity, or I can destroy you. I'd never spoken like this to anyone in my life. But 37 years of teaching had taught me that sometimes the only language a bully understands is strength. Jennifer's phone buzzed. She looked at it and her face went even paler. Michael filed for divorce. His lawyer already sent the papers. Good, I said. Now you can focus on becoming the mother your children deserve. Or you can fight this and lose everything. Your choice. She looked at each of her children one more time. Chloe met her gaze steadily. Mason crossed his arms. Emma buried her face in my side. I need time to think, Jennifer said finally. You have 24 hours. After that, I file everything with the court. She left without another word. Just got in her white Mercedes and drove away, her perfect life shattering behind her like broken glass. After Jennifer left, we all stood on the porch in stunned silence. It was Chloe who broke first, collapsing onto the steps and sobbing like her heart was breaking. I just destroyed my mother. I sat beside her, pulling her into my arms. No, sweetheart. Your mother destroyed herself. You just stopped covering for her. But what if she never forgives us? Then that's her choice. You can't set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm, even if that someone is your mother. Mason sat on her other side, and Emma curled up in my lap. We stayed like that for a long time, 4 people who just survived a hurricane, trying to figure out how to rebuild. My phone rang. Michael. Mom, are you all okay? Define okay. I heard the whole thing. Jennifer butt-dialed me. I heard everything she said to the kids, everything you said to her. His voice cracked. I'm so sorry. For all of it. For not seeing, for not believing you, for letting it get this bad. Apologies are nice, Michael. But what matters now is what you do next. I'm coming back. I told my boss I need family leave. I'm taking the next 6 weeks off. 6 weeks won't fix 13 years. I know, but it's a start. And Mom, thank you for being strong enough to do what I couldn't. After we hung up, I looked at 3 exhausted, emotionally drained children. How about we order pizza? Extra cheese, extra toppings, all the carbs your mother would have a stroke over. Emma giggled. Actually giggled. Can we have breadsticks too? We can have anything you want. Baby girl. While we waited for the pizza, Chloe asked the question I'd been dreading. Grandma, did you mean it? About the college money? Every word. But how? You're a teacher. Teachers don't make that much money. No, we don't. But I learned to be smart with what I had. I lived below my means. I didn't take expensive vacations or buy designer clothes. Every extra dollar went into 3 accounts. One for each of you. Why didn't you tell Mother? Mason asked. Because it wasn't for her. It was for you. And I knew that if she knew about it, she'd find a way to use it as leverage. Emma looked up at me with those big eyes. Are we going to live here now? That's up to your father and the courts. But whatever happens, I'm not going anywhere. You'll always have me. The pizza arrived, and we ate it sitting on the living room floor. Because why not? Rules were meant to be broken sometimes. Or at least bent. That night, after the kids were asleep, I sat at my kitchen table going through all the evidence I'd collected. Recordings, photos, documents. Proof of years of manipulation and abuse. My friend Margaret called. I heard through the Cedar Falls gossip mill that Jennifer showed up and all hell broke loose. News travels fast. Barbara, are you okay? Really okay? I'm exhausted, exhilarated, terrified. Take your pick. You did the right thing. Did I? I just blew up 3 children's relationship with their mother. No, honey. That relationship was already broken. You just stopped pretending it wasn't. We talked for an hour. Margaret, who'd been through her own custody battle, gave me advice, warned me about what was coming, reminded me to take care of myself too. Grandparents who fight for their grandchildren often forget to protect their own hearts, she said. Don't lose yourself in this battle. But how do you not lose yourself when 3 children's futures are at stake? The next morning, Michael arrived with 4 suitcases and a new energy I hadn't seen in years. I'm moving in with you, Mom. Just temporarily until I figure out the housing situation. If that's okay. Of course it's okay. But Michael, this house barely fits 4 people. We'll make it work. We're family. That's what families do. The children woke up to find their father making breakfast. Badly. Smoke alarm going off. Eggs burned. Toast charred. But he was there. Present. Trying. Emma laughed. Father, you're terrible at cooking. I know. Your grandmother is going to have to teach me, along with about 1,000,000 other things I should have learned years ago. Over burnt eggs and salvaged toast, Michael addressed his children properly for the first time in years. I owe you all an apology. I checked out of being your father. I let your mother make all the decisions, set all the rules, control everything. I told myself I was working hard for you, but really, I was hiding. From her, from you, from myself. Why? Chloe asked simply. Because it was easier. Your mother she's a force of nature. And somewhere along the way, I forgot that being a force of nature doesn't make someone right. Are you going to marry someone else? Emma asked, with the blunt honesty only 8-year-olds possess. No, baby. I'm going to focus on being your dad. Really being your dad. No more working until 8 p.m. No more missing games and concerts. No more letting anyone tell me I'm doing the right thing when I know in my gut I'm not. What about Mother? Mason's voice was careful, controlled. What's going to happen to her? Michael sighed. Your mother and I are getting divorced, but she'll always be your mother. I hope in time she gets help and you can have a relationship with her, a healthy one. And if she doesn't get help, Chloe asked, then you'll have to decide, when you're older, what kind of relationship you want with her. But right now, you're children. My job is to protect you, even if that means protecting you from your own mother. That afternoon, Jennifer's lawyer called. She was contesting everything. The divorce, the custody, the visitation rights. She was claiming I had manipulated her children and that Michael was having a midlife crisis. She's going to fight dirty, Thomas Brennan warned. Are you ready for that? I've been ready for 12 years. The next few days were a blur of legal consultations, court filings, and surprisingly, the children starting to heal. Chloe stopped obsessively checking her phone for messages from Jennifer. Mason's shoulders lost some of their tension. Emma started calling me Grandma instead of grandmother, without hesitating. We established routines. Real routines, not Jennifer's military-style schedules. Breakfast together, homework help, dinner where everyone actually talked, board games, reading before bed. Simple things, revolutionary things. On day 10, Chloe had her first volleyball game. Michael took time off work. I made sandwiches for the whole team. Emma held a sign that said, "Go Chloe," with glitter and everything. Chloe played like she was possessed. Every serve, every spike, every block was perfect. Her team won, and afterward, she ran to us, not just to Michael, but to all of us, and hugged us so hard I thought my ribs might crack. You came, she sobbed. You all came. Of course we came, Michael said. I'll come to every game from now on, I promise. Don't make promises you can't keep, Father. I'm not. I put it in my calendar. Your games, Mason's concerts, Emma's school events, everything. I'm done missing your lives. That night, Jennifer called Chloe. We all heard it through the phone. I saw on your Instagram that you won your game. Congratulations, I suppose. You suppose? Well, it's just volleyball. It's not like it's a real sport. Chloe's face hardened. Goodbye, Mother. Don't you dare hang up on me, young lady. She hung up. Then she looked at me, tears streaming down her face. That should hurt more, shouldn't it? But I just feel relieved. That's because you're starting to understand that her inability to celebrate you isn't about you. It's about her. Will she ever change, Grandma? I don't know, sweetheart. Some people do. Some people don't. What matters is that you don't wait around hoping. You live your life. You become the person you want to be. And if she ever does the work to change, you can decide then if you want her back in your life. The bombshell came on day 12. Michael's lawyer called with news. Jennifer had filed a countersuit. She was claiming that I was an unfit grandmother due to my age, that Michael was having an affair, completely fabricated, and that the children had been coached to say negative things about her. But the worst part? She was claiming I had dementia and was a danger to the children. Dementia? I nearly laughed. I'm 68 years old and sharper than I've ever been. She's claiming you told the children you saved money for their college when you don't have that kind of money. That it's a delusion brought on by cognitive decline. I have bank statements, trust fund documents, 15 years of financial records. I know. We'll submit all of that. But Barbara, she's playing the concerned mother card. She's going to claim that you manipulated her children during a vulnerable time and that everything they said was because of your influence. So she's gaslighting an entire court system. Essentially, yes. The hearing was set for 3 weeks away. 3 weeks to prepare, to document, to build an unshakable case. But I wasn't worried, because I had something Jennifer didn't have, the truth, and 3 children brave enough to tell it. The 3 weeks before the hearing were the most intense of my life. Thomas Brennan turned my dining room into a war room. Documents covered every surface. Bank statements, trust fund records, medical evaluations proving I had 0 cognitive decline, testimony transcripts. Jennifer's lawyer is going to try to paint you as a manipulative woman who took advantage of vulnerable children, Thomas warned. We need to prove not only that you're competent, but that Jennifer is the actual threat. Dr. Patricia Morrison, a child psychologist Margaret had recommended, spent hours interviewing the children, not coaching them, documenting their genuine experiences. These children show classic signs of emotional abuse, she told me privately. Chloe's eating disorder, Mason's anxiety, Emma's fear response, it's textbook narcissistic parenting. Will they have to testify? The judge will likely interview them in chambers, away from their mother, which is crucial. Children this age can be honest when they feel safe. Michael threw himself into being present. He attended Mason's violin recital, the first one in 3 years. Mason played beautifully, his repaired shoulder rest making all the difference. Afterward, he cried in his father's arms. I thought you didn't care about my music. I always cared. I just forgot how to show it. I'm so sorry, son. Chloe had another volleyball game. Her team lost, but Michael hugged her just as hard as when they won. Father, we lost. I don't care about the score. I care that you played your heart out. I'm proud of you, Chloe. Win or lose, I'm always proud of you. She cried then too. 13 years old and finally hearing the words she'd needed her whole life. Emma had a breakthrough in therapy. Dr. Morrison told us she'd drawn a picture of her family. In it, Jennifer was tiny, off to the side. Michael, the children and I were in the center, holding hands, smiling. She said, "This is my real family," Dr. Morrison reported. When I asked about her mother, she said, "Mommy chose not to be real." 8 years old and already understanding what many adults never grasp. Jennifer, meanwhile, was spiraling on social media. She posted constant updates about being a devoted mother, dealing with parental alienation. She shared articles about grandparents who manipulate grandchildren. She even started a blog called Surviving Family Betrayal. She's building her own counter-narrative, Thomas observed. But she's also giving us evidence. Look at this post from yesterday. I read it aloud. Some people can't stand to see others happy. They inject themselves into families they don't belong to, poison children's minds, and destroy marriages. But truth always prevails. She's literally describing herself, Michael said bitterly. Exactly. And the court will see that. The night before the hearing, I couldn't sleep. I sat in my kitchen at 2 a.m, drinking chamomile tea when Chloe appeared. Can't sleep either? She asked. Nervous. Me too. Grandma, what if the judge believes Mother? What if they make us go back to her? I pulled her onto my lap like I used to do with Michael when he was small. Chloe was too big for it, really. But she curled up anyway. Then we'll deal with it. But Chloe, you've been so brave. You told the truth. That's all anyone can ask. I'm scared of her. Is that terrible? Being scared of your own mother? It's honest, and honesty is never terrible. What if she changes? What if she gets help and becomes the mother we need? Then that would be wonderful. But you can't wait for that. Baby, you have to live your life. Build your future. Be happy. And if she does the work, she'll find her way back to you. But it has to be her choice. I love her, Chloe whispered. Even after everything, I still love her. Does that make me stupid? No, sweetheart. It makes you human. Love doesn't just disappear because someone hurts us, but love also doesn't mean accepting abuse. We sat there until dawn, grandmother and granddaughter preparing for battle. The courthouse was intimidating. Gray walls, harsh lighting, the smell of old wood and anxiety. Jennifer arrived dressed like she was attending a charity gala. Designer suit, perfect hair, makeup that probably cost more than my monthly pension. She looked at the children with calculated sadness. My babies, this will all be over soon. and we can go home." None of them responded. The judge, Honorable Margaret Chen, no relation to my Margaret, just a coincidence, was a woman in her early 60s with sharp eyes that missed nothing. "This is a preliminary hearing to determine temporary custody arrangements," she announced. "I've reviewed the filings from both parties. Mrs. Fletcher, your claims are quite serious. Dementia, manipulation, coaching children to lie. These are heavy accusations." Jennifer's lawyer stood. "Your Honor, my client is a devoted mother whose children were taken advantage of during a vulnerable time. Mrs. Barbara Fletcher, while perhaps well-meaning, is elderly and—" "I'm 68, I interrupted. "I taught 4th grade for 37 years. I retired 3 weeks ago with full cognitive function as proven by the neurological evaluation in your files." Judge Chen looked at the document. "Yes, I see that. Dr. Richardson's assessment shows 0 signs of cognitive decline. In fact, his notes say, patient is remarkably sharp with excellent memory recall and processing speed." Jennifer's lawyer shifted. "Nevertheless, the children were clearly influenced during their time with her." "Let's hear from the children," Judge Chen decided. "I'll speak with each one privately in chambers." Chloe went first. She was in there for 45 minutes. When she emerged, her eyes were red, but her face was set with determination. Mason went next. 30 minutes. He came out looking relieved. Emma was in there for an hour. When she finally came out, she ran straight to me and wouldn't let go. Judge Chen returned to the courtroom. Her face was unreadable. "I've heard testimony from 3 articulate, intelligent children. Their accounts are consistent, detailed, and concerning. Chloe described years of emotional manipulation and developing an eating disorder due to constant criticism. Mason described being monitored constantly and having his emotional needs dismissed. Emma described being afraid in her own home." Jennifer stood up. "They're lying. That old woman coached them." "Mrs. Fletcher, sit down." Judge Chen's voice was steel. "I've been a family court judge for 18 years. I know when children are lying, when they're coached, and when they're telling the truth. Your children are telling the truth. But I'm their mother. Being a mother is not a credential. It's a responsibility. One you've failed." Judge Chen looked at her notes. "I'm granting temporary full custody to Michael Fletcher. Barbara Fletcher will have unlimited, unsupervised visitation rights. Jennifer Fletcher will have supervised visitation, 2 hours every Sunday, with a court-appointed supervisor present." "No, you can't do this." "I can, and I have. Furthermore, I'm ordering you to undergo a psychological evaluation and complete a parenting course before we even discuss expanding your visitation. This hearing is adjourned." Jennifer's perfect facade shattered. She screamed, actually screamed, "This is kidnapping, judicial kidnapping. I'll appeal. I'll take this to the Supreme Court." Security escorted her out, still screaming. Michael collapsed into a chair, sobbing with relief. The children surrounded him, all of them crying, holding each other. I stood there, 68 years old, feeling both triumphant and heartbroken. Because even in victory, there's loss. 3 children had just officially lost their mother, at least temporarily, but they'd gained their freedom. Outside the courthouse, reporters had gathered. Small-town drama spreads fast. Jennifer was giving an interview, tears streaming down her perfectly made-up face. "I'm a victim of elder abuse and parental alienation," she sobbed for the cameras. "My own mother-in-law stole my children. I walked right past her. Children on either side of me, Michael behind us." "Mrs. Fletcher," a reporter called. "Do you have a comment?" I stopped, turned, looked directly at the camera. "I have nothing to say except this. Love your children more than you hate your ex-spouse. Love them more than your pride. Love them more than being right. And if you can't do that, step aside and let someone who can." We went home, our home, all 5 of us. 6 months have passed since that courthouse day. 6 months of healing, growing, and slowly becoming a real family. Chloe is thriving. She's captain of the volleyball team now, and her therapist says her eating disorder is in remission. She's even started a blog about surviving toxic parenting, helping other teenagers who feel trapped. Mason quit violin. It shocked everyone, but as he explained, "I never loved it. Mother loved it. I want to try theater instead." He's playing Conrad Birdie in the school production of Bye Bye Birdie. He's terrible at singing, but brilliant at acting. We'll be front row, all of us, cheering him on. Emma still sleeps with Henry the rabbit, but she's stopped hiding it. She's also started calling me every morning before school. just to say good morning. Those 3-minute conversations are the highlight of my day. Michael moved into his own place 2 months ago, a modest 3-bedroom near the school. But he's here for dinner 4 nights a week, and the kids stay with me every weekend. He's dating someone new, a kindergarten teacher named Sarah, who doesn't wear designer clothes or need constant validation. The kids actually like her. As for Jennifer, she completed her psychological evaluation. The diagnosis was narcissistic personality disorder with strong controlling tendencies. She's in therapy now, though I hear from Thomas she fights it every step of the way. Her supervised visits are painful to watch, according to the court supervisor's reports. She spends most of the 2 hours criticizing the children's clothes, hair, and choices. They endure it because they still love her, but they don't trust her. Maybe they never will. Last week she sent me a letter, not an email, an actual handwritten letter. It said, "Barbara, I hate you. I will probably always hate you. But my therapist says I need to acknowledge that you did what you thought was right. You protected children you thought were in danger. I still believe you poisoned them against me, but I'm told that's my narcissism talking. I don't know if I'll ever forgive you, but I'm trying to understand. That's all I can offer. It's not an apology. It's not healing, but it's something. A crack in the armor. Maybe in 5 years or 10 or 20, that crack will widen enough for real change. Or maybe it won't. Either way, those children will be okay." I'm sitting on my porch right now, watching Emma play in the yard. She's teaching Mason how to do cartwheels, and they're both terrible at it, laughing so hard they can't stand up straight. Chloe is inside baking cookies. My recipe, the one her mother called poor people food. My house is loud now, full, sometimes chaotic. Nothing like the peaceful retirement I'd imagined. It's better. This morning, Emma asked me, "Grandma, are you happy?" I looked around at my cramped living room, my secondhand furniture, my modest life that Jennifer once mocked. I'm happier than I've ever been, baby girl. Even though everything got messy, sometimes messy is good. Sometimes messy means real. She hugged me then, this small, fierce child who chose truth over comfort. I'm glad you're my grandma. My real grandma, not the pretend kind. My retirement didn't turn out the way I planned. I didn't travel to Sedona or Charleston or the Grand Canyon. I didn't take cooking classes or learn to paint. Instead, I fought a war. I saved 3 children. I helped my son find his spine. I stood up to a bully who'd controlled my family for over a decade, and I'd do it all again in a heartbeat. So let me ask you, the people who've listened to this whole story, do you think I was right to fight back? Should I have stayed silent to keep the peace? Have you ever faced a situation where speaking up cost you everything, but was still the right choice? What would you have done in my situation? Have you ever had to protect children from their own parent? Please share your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to tell me what city you're watching from. Thank you so much for listening until the very end. This is Letters to Helen, and I'll see you in the next story. My name is Barbara Fletcher. I'm 68 years old. I'm a retired teacher, a grandmother, and a woman who learned that it's never too late to find your voice. And if my story helps even one person stand up to abuse, then every hard moment was worth it. Remember, love doesn't mean accepting mistreatment. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is say no. Be brave, be strong, be real, and never ever let anyone make you feel small.